Guys, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing my first daily rant, and the topic we have is based on the top 100 that just came out that ranked Lamar Jackson number 2 overall as the number 1 quarterback overall, and Patrick Mahomes, who just beat Lamar Jackson, is number 4 overall and rated as the second best quarterback. How does that make any sense? Somebody please explain that to me. And I know it's all subjective. It's all voted based upon the players, right? It's not like it goes off of stats or anything. If it went off of stats, Lamar would be even lower. But it is what it is. It doesn't make any sense to me. And that's what this rant's about. Patrick Mahomes, he's not the only one I think you could put ahead of Lamar Jackson. Look, Lamar Jackson is a solid quarterback. This isn't an anti-Lamar Jackson video. It's just a little bit of criticism based on how high we're putting him. He's a solid quarterback, don't get me wrong, but we cannot put him as the number 1 quarterback in football. And I had to do a little research on this list because I was thinking, like, what is the criteria they're going off of? And because if you go off of playoffs, if playoffs are included in this, there's no way it's not Patrick Mahomes. And I look, I'm not a Patrick Mahomes homer. I personally find the Chiefs kind of, pretty fucking annoying. Like, they win every game. They seem to get every call. When it's third down, they always get the bailout calls. That's just what it feels like. I will not be biased in any of my analysis. I just look at everything for what it is. Patrick Mahomes went 4-0 in the playoffs. First game was home against Miami and Tua, who, good Lord, he struggles in the cold weather. And then 2 tough games on the road against the Bills and the Ravens, 2 powerhouses. Beat both of those teams. And then Super Bowl neutral site. So they only had 1 home game out of 4 on their playoff run. And Mahomes was very good during that run. Now, the defense I do think was awesome as well. I think Spags is one of the most underrated parts of this success in the whole league. His name rarely ever comes up. But with that being said, Patrick Mahomes has been very, very consistent too, and we have to give him credit for that. He's just very good at making the right play. He's got a lot better over that in his career, and instead of early on when he would throw a lot of deep balls, now he knows how to check it down, and he's very good at using his feet to pick up first downs when he needs to as well. He's just a very consistent quarterback, and I don't know how he's not number 1 on the list after winning 2 Super Bowls in a row and literally beating Lamar Jackson, who's number 1, beating Josh Allen, beating Tua, who's had great stats, and has been a good statistical quarterback. And he beat Brock Purdy, who you can make a real argument that if we're just going off of regular season, had a better regular season than Lamar. Because I looked up the top 100 criteria, and it didn't specify whether or not it was just regular season, playoffs. It just said based on the 2023 or the most recent season. Last time I checked, the season includes everything. Playoffs are part of the season. There's the preseason, there's the regular season, there's the postseason. We're not going to count preseason, but we include the regular season and the postseason. But if you want to just argue based off regular season, I could pull up some data for you here, and I can make arguments that, and there might be other quarterbacks I'm not even looking at, but top of mind, top of head, Brock Purdy and Dak Prescott, you could strong arguments, and I think they probably did have better regular seasons than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson gets all this credit because, let's be honest, his defense was the best defense in football last year, and they made it so they won a lot of games. They did a great job on defense. They led the league in yards per attempt. They were tied, I believe, with New York Jets for the lowest yards per attempt. And they were tied with the New York Giants for most turnovers. So I don't know how the fuck the Giants had good turnover stats. They were horrible last year. But anyways, the Ravens led the league in defensive turnovers forced. So what does that tell you? That just helped Lamar's narrative last year, in my opinion. They kind of got to be on cruise control in a lot of those games and play from a very cushy lead. And I think it just helped the narrative behind him a lot. And I know this top 100 is based on players, but we have to be honest about something. Like, players, they're good at what they do. They're professionals. They're big and they're strong, and they know the position. They know what their job responsibilities are. That's why, they get paid a lot of money. But it doesn't mean they are smart at making decisions or can analyze things at a high level. Like I'm tired of hearing the narrative that you have to have played football to be able to talk about it, because these guys can't predict things better than the average Joe half the time, the average casual fan. If you look at, I think it's Thursday Night Football, they have a fucking panel of like 10 people, it feels like, on that panel. They never have enough room on that panel, and everyone's crunched in there. You know who it is: Tony Gonzalez, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Whitworth, Richard Sherman. I'm probably forgetting one or two people, or maybe that's everybody, but it seems like a lot all the time. And then you got the main chick, I think her name is Carissa Thompson. She's pretty hot, side note. But I remember they showed the standings late last year. Might have been the end of the season or late last year, but regardless, they had their picks for the whole year, and she was in first fucking place. Carissa Thompson was in first place over guys that have won Super Bowls on the panel. So that just proves you that the players aren't geniuses. They're biased. They have guys that they're friends with. They probably, and I think a lot of people, honestly, and I get it, but this is not how you should vote. I think a lot of people are just salty at all of Mahomes' success, and that's probably why they didn't pick him. Everybody loves a loser. Let's just be honest. Everybody loves a loser. Lamar Jackson, yes, he's 100% a winner at life, but in terms of postseason success, he's a loser, and everybody loves a loser. Everybody, they can relate to that guy. They don't have the championships either. They want to be his friend. They like Lamar, likable guy, good personality. Mahomes and Travis Kelce, the Chiefs, they're just kind of annoying. Mahomes isn't really annoying. He complains about a lot of calls. That's why I find him somewhat annoying. But overall, he's okay. But that's what I think it is. I think it's a lot of just jealousy going into these picks, these rankings, I should say. And last thing I'm going to end with, guys, I teased it earlier, was I wanted to show you Lamar's regular season stats compared to Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy. So let me just peek over here at my computer. So Lamar Jackson, let's see here. Lamar Jackson had 120. Oh, sorry, that's his career. Definitely didn't have. He had one of the weakest MVP seasons. Definitely didn't have 125 touchdowns. But Lamar Jackson had 24 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, okay? And we look over here. Sorry, I am doing a horrible job with the camera for this section here. Let me just put my glasses on. I don't have my contacts in, so I can't even see the computer well. All right, so I'm going to go contacts in. Lamar Jackson, 24 touchdowns, 7 picks, QBR 64.7, QB rating 102.7. So let's just make the season. Let's start with touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, 24 touchdowns, okay? Dak Prescott, last year, this is just regular season. And, okay, random side note. Let me go off on Dak for a second. Dak Prescott blows my fucking mind. This guy has he might have the best regular season stats, but he just finds a way to turn into a fucking shell of himself in the playoffs. This dude is a choke artist in the playoffs. It's unbelievable. Like, this team should have won a Super Bowl, at least gotten to a Super Bowl right now. They're stacked every year. He plays good all year and then shits the bed in the playoffs. So, I mean, it's honestly very similar to Lamar Jackson, except I think I'll be honest, I think he's better than Lamar Jackson. Lamar is a high percent of his success is from the feet. I think Dak's just a more reliable quarterback. All right, but back to what I was saying. Touchdowns, Lamar Jackson has 24 touchdowns last year. Dak Prescott, 36 touchdowns, okay? We go to Brock Purdy, 31 touchdowns. So they both beat Lamar in touchdowns. Now, if we go to interceptions, I think Lamar has the least amount. However, he doesn't. Him and Brock Purdy have about the same amount of throws. Dak Prescott has way more throws than Lamar. Dak threw the ball 590 times last year. Lamar threw it 457. So Lamar had 7 picks. Dak had, I think, 9. Let's see. Dak had 9 and Brock had 11. So all very close there. You pretty much call that a draw, you know? They're all very similar there. And then we look at quarterback rating. Brock Purdy had a quarterback rating of 113. He was unbelievable. Let me talk about Brock for a second now. Brock Purdy was unbelievable in the regular season. people will say that he had a good postseason. I'm a Brock Purdy guy. I really like his game. I think he's so underrated. I think everybody is very salty that he was a 7th-round pick and he's performing like a first overall pick. And I think for some reason people just are assuming because he was projected to be bad that he's bad, and they love to say it's just because of the 49ers system. Well, if that was the case, how come Trey Lance looked like such dog shit? How about Nick Mullins? He was fucking horrible with the 49ers. You know, let's be honest here. Like Brock, there has been examples of quarterbacks that sucked under Shanahan. Jimmy G was good. He didn't do too well with the Raiders, but Jimmy G was overall good with the 49ers. I know he wasn't elite, but he was good. You can't say he wasn't good. Brock Purdy is looking like he's better than Jimmy G. He's looking like he's great, flirting with elite. He might, I think he's between great and elite. He's very good. But in the postseason, I do think he had a bit of an overrated outlook. I think they should have lost their first 2 games. I think they got fortunate. Brock Purdy, he had a lot of dropped interceptions. I remember in the Lions game, I think they dropped like fucking 3 picks, it felt like. And they got the one off the helmet. That ended up being a huge catch that changed the game. And then Dan Campbell fumbled the game because I love Dan. I mean, too many rants in one video, but Dan Campbell was an absolute idiot in that final game. He cost them the game single-handedly. Literally just had to kick a field goal. They won the game. Go up 3 possessions, but he had to go for it because that's what fucking men do, right? He's such a badass. He just has to go for it every time. But literally kick field goal, 3-possession game. It's over. What else we got? Regular season, Dak Prescott. It's hard to not throw him in there. Brock Purdy, I like him. I like him more than Lamar. So, we'll see where Lamar lands. He's a solid quarterback. I'm not grading him like a bum. I'm not grading him like no rookie or like where I have a Bryce Young or Will Levis. I'm not saying he's shitty. He's not. But and I'm not saying he's average either. He's above average, but I'm not putting him in like a great category. So it is what it is. We'll see. Maybe they'll prove me wrong this year. And be great. If he does, I'll adjust accordingly. I have no biases or ways I want to see him perform. I don't care if he does great or does bad. I will adjust my ratings accordingly. And that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. First daily rant. We'll see if you guys like this. If I probably rambled way too long. I could already tell I went 7 different ways instead of just staying on track. So I apologize for being all over the place. I'll try to be better with that in my future rants, but first time, it is what it is. Catch you in the next video, boys. Peace.